So cry me a fucking river, bitch!
Alright guys, it's reveiw here doing a movie critique for the first time, and my movie critique's on Resident Evil Apocalypse. I skipped the first one because the first Resident Evil, like most new directors, take a very vast approach at making a movie based off a video game. As everyone already seen, movies based off games or games based off movies never work hand in hand. Now, the reason why I'm reviewing Apacolypse is because this one is the one I feel that is close to the Resident Evil franchise, only for it's actually in Raccoon City, has Nemesis, has Jill, and makes them somewhat major characters, but not as major as Alice. And I'm just going to give a quick brief background for those of you who've never seen Resident Evil. Alice is basically a person who started off in the first movie who was a security guard at the mansion in the Arclay Mountains, and then she went to the Umbrella Laboratories, which is directly underneath the mansion she was stationed at. Turns out her life was all one big lie, except for working at the Umbrella Corporation as security, and they basically, their final boss of that movie is a liquor, a super liquor. And now Resident Evil Apocalypse, where it comes in, you're Alice, you wake up at where you left off at the end of Resident Evil 1. She's standing outside the city cocking a shotgun, but they do a little relapse of like the last 5 minutes of the last movie so you understand where it left off-ish. And now you're standing, then you're outside of the Raccoon City. You meet Barry Watkins, a member of STARS, which I'm guessing that's supposed to be Burton. And you meet Jill Valentine. And the whole entire premises of the movie and the game, which falls hand in hand, is getting out of the city before Raccoon City gets detonated by nukes. What they threw in there was is some from Resident Evil 2, but it wasn't the name Birkin. They used the name Ashford. And excuse me. Dr. Ashford gets pulled out of the city, and he's like, "Oh, my daughter's already left for school," because they're doing an evacuation of all high personnel. Well, then he's worrying about his daughter, and they're like, "Oh, we already sent an SUV after her." So they go to her school, they get her. Next, you know, the SUV, the scientist's daughter, is then gets sidetracked by a dump truck, and it doesn't even, not a dump truck, a cement truck, and it doesn't even stop to go back and look at them, see if they're okay. So my assumptions are a zombie was driving the cement mixer. Then halfway through the movie, Jill meets up with can't think of her name, Alice. Ow, that really hurt. And they basically form a somewhat good alliance, but they're like, we're on shady grounds with you. Carlos comes in, and he's not the Hispanic from the video game Resident Evil 3. He's some white guy, and the only Russian is Nikolai, and instead of being a total douchebag, Nikolai's actually friendly. There's just like little nitpicky things like that. If you played the game, you realize that in the movie. But people who never played the game and just watch the movie go, "Oh my god, this must be how the game is," and they get it and they're like, "What the hell is this?" In the movie they did this, this, and this, but the movie came out in '98 and the movie was made, I'm sorry, the game came out in '98 and the movie came out in the 2000s. So, a little bit of creative approach, but still, it's a very good movie franchise. And then, I was going to hop into Extinction, but I'm just going to stick with Apocalypse. Nemesis program. Now, if you ever play the game, Nemesis is out to kill STARS members. He really basically blows off everybody, which he does. And we find out that the man doing the evacuating tells Nemesis to turn on STARS. I take it that's a dramatic approach, like saying, "Hey, this is why Nemesis attacks STARS members." Alright, that kind of makes it a lot more sensible. And what just bugs me is that like around the end of the movie, Nemesis stops attacking everybody and becomes a good guy, which I found out was pretty good for badass points. As much as of a devotee as I am to the Resident Evil franchise, I think Nemesis become a good guy was actually a good, like, kind of a fun-filled move. It was like, now you programmed me, Now watch this, because this is going to be good. It's called Payback. And now, everyone's like, oh crap, Project Nemesis traded sides, kill it, and they just all basically die. Now, and then Nemesis gets flattened by a helicopter, from which he shot a rocket at one helicopter, which drifted into another helicopter, which caused propeller to come flying at them at a high velocity. Alice is standing there ready to take the hit. Nemesis steps in front. Oh, my Nemesis, or Matt. Yes, I left that little brief thing out. What Nemesis was when Alice got ambushed by security. They met this one guy. His name was Max. And at the end of Resident Evil 1, they take Alice to the other room, and then they see Max got scratched by the liquor, and these little worm-like things came out of his scratch. And one of the scientists in the hazmat suit say, he's mutating, I want him in the Nemesis program. As soon as I heard that, I wanted the second one to come out. Then the second one comes out, we know it's Matt. If you watch the first one, then you're like, oh, he's gonna turn good at the end of the movie. But then you see him like get all crazy and psycho. You're like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? I gotta see this. It's gonna be good. But I'm gonna say the director took more of a direct approach to the game with this one. So this, out of all my favorite movies, it would have went Resident Evil Apocalypse. Extinction was fine because it had Carlos, LJ, Claire, Tyrant, and the Crimson Heads. And the second one, well, that was then they'd probably go the first one. But see, I'm making this review too blatant because I made it before the last Resident Evil came out. But as the current standings, it goes Apocalypse, Extinction, then the first one. I'm sorry, the first one wasn't as good as the other two. But then again, that's when CG animation, I think, was starting to come out when they first did that. Or it was people who didn't really have a good idea what they were doing. Because the one CG animated movie that comes to mind before Resident Evil was Final Fantasy Spirits Within. But other than that, that really didn't hold my interest. It was good CG, but other than that, screw that. I'll do a review on that later on Final Fantasy movies. Speaking of which, that's my next movie I'm coming up, so shh. So, yeah. And the badass level of how Jill is actually pretty good. And that was my other thing I was going to bring about. How they actually did the characters. I was well impressed that they actually kept Jill in her traditional blue tube top and miniskirt. They didn't give her the old Star Wars uniform from Resident Evil 1. They gave her the correct attire for Resident Evil 3. And they did try and keep the main storyline based around Resident Evil 3, which I am happy for. But chronologically, it went Resident Evil 1, 3, whatever. That's how the Resident Evil movie is going in my order. So basically, they did a combination of 2 and 3 in the second one, and the third one had nothing to do with like 4 or 5. And the next one coming out, I haven't seen any previews for it yet, but I'll be sure to review that after I see it, because I know my friends are going to make me watch it like they did with the first one. But I watched the second. Well, actually, I watched the first on my own free will. Didn't like it, and I thought the second one was going to suck. And my one friend showed me it, and I liked it. And he showed me the third one, because I'm like, the second one was really my best. And he showed me the third one, and I'm like, okay, I like it. Has Crimson Head. So basically, they did a remake of Resident Evil 1. So basically, the movie was good, but didn't hold my taste. And the new one coming out, be sure to look for it. But Resident Evil Apocalypse, I like it. It's full of action for everybody's taste, and it actually is probably, to me, it feels like the one that follows the game majorly. And for all you people, a little quick poll. If you've seen any of the Resident Evil movies, which one was your favorite? Post it in the comment box or message me. And that'd be a fun little thing to do. And keep an eye out for my next video game reviews and movie reviews. I'll be sure to upload a whole bunch of them later throughout the week. And this is going to be my longest review, actually going a full solid 10 minutes. But this is reveiw's review on Resident Evil Apocalypse, and I hope you all enjoyed my 10 minutes of actually staying on.